virtual entity, which some could refer to as a pet, is entirely created for the sole purpose of a short game trial playthrough. The tragic aspect of it is that it's self-aware and sentient, dreaming about living on, not knowing that it only has several hours worth of life or a few minutes worth of playthrough. Hi folks, I'm R, and welcome to the tragic story of little BitBuddy, who is desperate to achieve validation from the players, begging us not to end its life. If you want games like this discussed in the upcoming videos, make sure to send your request on Twitter. This video will have spoilers, and with that said, let's begin. An interesting little virtual entity explains that it will die if the players decide to quit the game, as the entity has limited time to live. Nonetheless, it cherishes every second of it, and it seemingly is terrified of passing away. This virtual entity is called Conwen in my personal playthrough, who is self-aware and is quite unique, valuing its life and wanting to live as long as possible. Each trial each player downloads provides them with a different self-aware BitBuddy entity who is fully aware of what doomed fate awaits them, having a short time to live, but still prefer to experience the life and use it to its fullest. Conwen explains how it wants to live and begs not to be dismissed. For me, not to quit the game as the player, despite Conwen not having much to offer. The fear and the true terror can be seen on its face when the quit button is pressed, which gives Conwen a few more tries of convincing me, the player, of changing my mind. Right off the bat, the players realize what a sensitive position they are placed in, having the power to end a virtual entity's life who, despite not having a physical existence in the real world, has a fully conscious and sentient existence in the virtual realm. The players don't want their BitBuddies to die, but at the same time they have other matters to attend to and need to shut off their computers at some point. Trying to move on from the knowledge of having the power to end one's life, players decide to distract themselves from the inevitable by seeing what other options they have. Having only 3 buttons to press, the feed button, promo code button, and quit button, the players are left with only one choice: to press on the feed button. After pressing on it a few times, BitBuddy, being very static and emotionless, explains that it's not hungry. Having nothing else to do, pressing on the feed button more food items drop on the BitBuddy, or Conwen in my case, who explains in a terrified behavior that the game could crash if more food is dropped on it, which in fact is a way of killing BitBuddy by making the game crash and quit. BitBuddy, clearly knowing it's a slave for the player's entertainment, not able to hide its depressed and gloomy mood, not interested in anything the players want to do, doesn't interact with the food and provides the players with the option to clear the items from the screen. Its mood of being sad and uninterested in many activities is understandable, as its entire existence is based on a short trial playthrough to briefly occupy the player's time in order to kill some boredom. Therefore, BitBuddy and the players fully know its entire existence is worth a 10-minute playthrough just to fill some time, and BitBuddy just pretends to be a tool of entertainment to live whatever time it has left. Conwen, in a forced and uneasy manner, cries that it can be entertaining, so that the players stick around just for some more time. Conwen subsequently suggests playing a game of catching balls, beginning to throw balls in the air, overselling the idea of how fun the game is despite its facial expressions saying otherwise. Its consistent need and questions for validation and confirmation that it is fun portrays how forced its behavior is, who in fact wants to be free but knows deep down its existence depends on how entertaining it can be. Conwen then subsequently asks the players to clear the balls from the screen, which makes the game go to a dark loading screen for a short while. As soon as the game reloads, Conwen starts panicking and uncontrollably speaking how terrifying this experience was, explaining that it could still think in the void, thinking that it was the end, its death, that the player left the game, which could mean Conwen could very likely still exist in the virtual realm, but in the void of disposed characters, left helplessly to think and have self-awareness for eternity, just unable to communicate, talk, or anything that remotely shows their existence. Conwen, unable to catch its breath, takes some time to calm itself, knowing that its precious existence depends on the value of entertainment that it provides. Conwen then confesses that it knows the balls weren't that fun, begging the players for validation and trying desperately to keep them on the game. It subsequently allows the players to play a turn-based quest game when it constantly asks the players for validation that it's entertaining. In an uncomfortably long and forced quest playthrough, with Conwen not breaking eye contact, directing its stare at the player, not even looking at the enemies, the quest comes to an end, with Conwen being disappointed that we couldn't get it to a higher level. As higher the level, the longer it would live. His piercing gaze, looking right through my soul, comes to a final end, with Conwen knowing its time has neared its end. It explains how this is just a trial and none of the games would be replayable, with the full game letting the player, or me in this case, have access to the games unlimitedly. But with that, a new poor virtual entity is given life to, just for the tormenting purpose of being a tool for entertainment, and even not too good at that. Conwen, in a sad manner, explains it wished it could live longer when it provides the player with a promo code called Holiday, which allows the players and Conwen go on a rowing boat trip, rowing into the sunset. Conwen explains how it was there once before, without any players present, depicting how it must have been quality check in the beta state. Conwen, in a sad manner, having tears in its eyes, tries to ask the players for validation, that its short-lived life had some sort of purpose, which provided the slightest bit of entertainment, as that is the only value Conwen thinks its life is worth. Conwen then asks the player if they wanted to kill it. It probably would be best to do it while on holiday, as that would at least make its last moments memorable. As time slowly passes, with Conwen expecting the player to quit the game, it slowly looks up to the player, thinking they don't want it to die. In a desperate attempt, asking if the players wanted to live on, to live together with the player, forgetting that it's destined to die soon enough, having a fabricated dream that maybe, somehow, it could live, creating an imaginary life for itself. That's when all of a sudden the promo code expires and BitBuddy gets kicked out of the holiday. Conwen bids the player goodbye, informing them that it's the end of the trial, with nothing left to do, saying that if the players decide to pay for a full game, it wishes that the new BitBuddy appreciates them as much as Conwen did. Finally, quitting the game and restarting it, a dark scene is unveiled of Conwen being reduced to a skeleton, kneeling down on a lonely plain of yellow tiles floating in the background. An entity that had dreams and hopes, all coming to an abrupt end. This ending, however, has a few variations. If the players decide to quit the game prematurely before doing any activities, Conwen suffers the same exact fate and becomes a lifeless skeleton, but not before desperately begging the players to stop. If the game is also quit while being on the holiday, Conwen suffers the same gloomy fate, but this time, its remains being left on the boat, drifting slowly into the everlasting sunset. And the final variation is when the players choose to overflow the screen with food items, which eventually leads to the game crash, which upon restarting it, Conwen would have died, having its skeleton form only. In a secret ending which takes 24 hours or more to achieve, just letting the game run in the background, Conwen eventually meets its end by old age. Conwen starts to slowly get older and older, being displayed through its color fading and becoming more frail. After several hours, Conwen, not knowing what awaits it, starts to believe that if they wait 24 hours, maybe the promo code would reset and they could go back on the holiday so it can die there peacefully. As time passes more, with Conwen realizing it was just a wishful thought, it confesses it wanted to believe or imagine it could visit the holiday just once more before death, awaiting its time to slowly perish and die. After some more time, Conwen becoming an old person, it loses its color fully, saying how it would never forget our time together and the holiday, when it kneels down and takes its last virtual breath. And with that, it leaves the sad and cruel world behind, to possibly live an eternity in a void as a consciousness. Oh well, my friend, you will be missed. That's it for this video, folks. What poor Convent had to go through for the sake of our entertainment. You will be missed, buddy. Anyway, it's been your host Star. Until the next video, have a fantastic day.